We're doing it. We're just live. We're just live. There was no intro today. There was no countdown. And why is that, you asked? Well, for some reason, I decided it would be a good idea to see how many people were waiting for a 20-second dachshund. And guess what? There were 11 people waiting. So we snap filled. So we are instantly live. We were not doing this to dodge anyone. We were not trying to pull a fast one. However, we're live. And good morning, everybody. This, of course, is Wake Up Best Ball. We are, as Best Ball On Call says, extra early for the AM crew. Thank you again to Best Ball On Call by a great follow and sub if you do not do so already. I've got 3 of these dachshunds left, and we're going to see what we can see. Again, I believe with ADP or ship chasing starting at 10, we're probably going to just try to run all 3 of these dachshunds of the 20-second variety and hopefully get those done before they go live. We'll see if we have to do any multi-tabling. We did a little of that yesterday, and we're able to time it pretty close. So good morning, everybody. I suppose once I make my pick here at 7, I will tweet out that we're live. So again, I was not planning on just hopping in, but that's the way she goes today. So we're already on the clock. We've got Puka Nakua here at 7. Christian McCaffrey is breathing down his neck as far as flipping him in ADP, but I'll take a Puka share. Let's see what we can see. We see Saquon going at 5. That's been happening more and more. Anecdotally, in a lot of rooms, people are getting Saquon at 6, even 7. So we're beginning to see him slide a little bit. Bijan has flipped him in ADP. CD Lamb going at the 101, that's something that's perfectly reasonable to do, especially in these small entry contests where if you want a CD Lamb share, this might be your one chance to get them, and you're going to get them paired with some different people. Again, I think some of the unique combo stuff is a little less valuable in these contests, being that this is only how many people in the final? It's a small final. I think it's 312 or maybe it's 156. Either way, that's a small enough final to where your value of getting super unique is less than, say, a BBM where you're competing against multiple hundred people, or a puppy where it's a several thousand person final. So again, don't hate that, but don't know that it's something that's strictly necessary to do just for the sake of getting different. All right, we are coming back up shortly. Again, I will tweet this out, send out the bat signal as soon as this pick gets made. I will pull the draft board back up so people can see what's going on. Other than Lamb going early, A-Chain at 10, that's interesting. He has been a big riser, potentially one of the bigger beneficiaries of the Jonnu move. So we'll see if A-Chain, starts marching his way up. Gene T's been a slight faller lately, as has Amon-Ra. Potentially some of the Amon-Ra fall is due to some concern about the knee scoping that he had. But we're going to take Drake London here. This sets up a nice Week 16 matchup between the Rams and the Falcons. So a natural start to the team there. Nobody has gone wide receiver, or taken the same position twice at the beginning of this draft. So kind of interesting sort of checkerboard pattern was forming between the 8 and 12 hole there. Let's see if the Bijan drafter takes a running back here, or the trend continues. So yeah, very interesting that people are taking one running back, one receiver, at least as far as the entire right side of the board, and then some. All right, I am going to say we're live on the YT machine. Come hang. Running some underdog drafts. All right. Get that word out. Tweet out the link, which gets immediately nerfed by the X algo, but you know what? That's okay. There's nothing we can do there. And then we're going to get the ducks rolling, which is going to garble the audio for a second. But again, let me know if it's too loud. All right. Excellent. Here we go. So Devontae Adams at 25. So this the Chancellor fellow is just kind of taking the people they want, which is, I don't see anything wrong with the way he's building, but that's certainly might be good for us. Maybe we'll get something a little more unique. I will take Garrett Wilson here, and we're just going to keep on pissing in this room. I love Garrett Wilson. I will never complain about getting another Garrett Wilson share. I don't really have too much concern about getting boxed out at running back because we don't have anyone or multiple people taking multiple running backs. So it should be kind of a normal pick distribution here. If anything, it looks potentially a little, maybe more wide receiver heavy kind of in the aggregate. So some decent options will be there in the 55 to with these 50 picks, 55 and 66 should be 66 should be able to get someone we like there. 42 is kind of an odd spot. Maybe you get occasionally like a falling Breece Hall or a real fall on Kyron, although there goes Kyron there. So let's see what the room gives us. Yeah, James Cook is normally the running back who would be there. Pretty out on James Cook, and especially in a contest where I am only taking or it's a 4 max. I do not like James Cook, and I'm not going to use one of my 4 entries in here on him unless something crazy happens where he comes all the way back to me. Everybody has a price at a certain point. I just think that his has become too high. Jameson Williams, pretty much my favorite click. If I want to make this a draft where I'm just playing the hits, then JMO will be who we take. If I want to value hound it a little more, if Jaden Daniels is there, that would make sense. So there goes JMO. So Alan Townsend agrees with the JMO click. I don't get a ton of Jaden Daniels, but maybe this team makes sense for him. Amari and Hampton would balance things out a little bit as far as taking a running back, but let's take the falling value on Jaden Daniels in this particular draft. And again, with the next pick, with our next pick, we will be taking one of those running backs in the mid 50s that seem to go. The Gale, GM, thank you so much for coming by. I don't know if I've seen you before, but thank you. Appreciate the support and hanging out this morning. Al Boogie 78, Chad, I thought you start at 8:30. I do start at 8:30. I normally do, but I really want to finish these Dachshunds on stream today. And so I have 3 drafts to do. And with ship chasing coming on at 10, I wanted to wrap up before they go live. So I figured the extra 10 minutes, if I started a few minutes early, would make sense. And I also kind of wanted to see what the fill rate on this Dachshund was going to be. And I joined and it snap filled. And I was the 12th guy in. So I just hit the go live button. I figured I would get people hopping in. So yes, I normally begin at 8:30. That is my preferred time. But frankly, I did not want to, I didn't want to miss out on this or have to do too much overlap between drafts because I don't think it's the best viewer experience toggling between drafts. And it's also not the best experience drafting, especially in this 4 max where I don't really want to mess it up. DQ105, thanks for hanging out with us this morning. Another day, more drafts. I mean, we are getting to the season where we're going to be drafting a lot. I mean, the summer is in full swing. Training camp, I think, is next week it begins. So we're going to start getting legitimately actionable stuff here. So we the time for waiting is coming to an end. We are officially in go time here. I said I was going to add a running back in this range. I will do so. I like both Kamara and Mixon. I think they're perfectly fine. Flowers and Ridley make sense. They're great clicks, but I don't want to get too behind at running back. I don't want this to be a pure 0 RB team, especially when I took Daniels here. I think with Daniels, I'm going to target Debo at 66 if Debo comes around. So I'd rather not be in a position where that's a 5th receiver. So we'll see if we get Debo wrapping around or not. I think that's pretty much where his ADP is. Yeah, 69. So, people do reach for Debo on occasion, but hopefully he'll be there just a hair before ADP for us. So we'll pull the board back up, see if anyone's doing anything too odd. Jalen Hurts at 54 is nice. A mini fall there. Nothing too crazy. Didn't get all the way to Blah Bait, who would have had a nice AJ Brown stack. He is denied that. Joe Burrow at 60. A little bit of a dip there. I think ADPs can be more variable in the Dachshund because it's very, for some people, they take it like get your guy season. So when it comes to these small field contests, you can either be a get your guy, or if you want a value hound, sometimes you can really find some nice falls on players as people reach to get the people they're more excited to take. You can kind of, sit there at the bottom of the cash machine, just picking up bills off the floor. So I'm going to queue up Debo there. As tempting as Harvey or Connor are, I will take one of them if Debo goes off here. So he does not, again, RJ Harvey is tempting, but I do want to stack Daniels where possible. Obviously, Daniels the kind of quarterback you do not need to stack, but when it does line up naturally, I will just take that. And I'm pretty bullish on Debo this season. I think a lot of the decline is pneumonia related. Obviously, the fat Debo jokes are being made quite extensively. The season is 2 months away. Hopefully any of that is really just, bad camera angles and just sort of summer silly season. But you never know. The T. Higgins drafter, he successfully pulls off the Burrow push. He got him at the 4 hole, and Burrow is all the way there at 69. And the Rashee Rice drafter takes no chances, taking Patrick Mahomes there at 70. I think it makes more sense that Mahomes and Burrow go this close. I think they should be pretty much going back to back, but that's not how the market has been taking them. There's still a big gap between Burrow and Mahomes, and I am definitely bullish on a Mahomes resurgence this season. Dirty P says, let's see if you can draft yourself back into my Hertzig lineup. Passing on Chase at the 101 yesterday dropped you to alternate status. Well, Dirty P, if you knew the context, I had gotten, I think of my Chihuahuas, I got like 5 101s. And so I already had 4 Chase shares. I might have even had 6. So I was trying to do something different there, but I certainly understand the idea that passing on Jamar Chase is bad, and in doing so is just getting too fancy. Let's take Tony Pollard here. I do want a second running back more than I want a 5th receiver, as much as I like this sort of Green Bay contingent of Gold and Reed there. I don't want to be falling too far behind at running back, especially because running back is more likely to hit your flex than the receiver in most cases. And, I did take a detour at quarterback, and so adding another running back there, I do 0 RB sometimes, but I don't know if this is the particular draft that I want to be trying to do that. Bindles says, morning chats. Bindles, GM to you. I enjoyed the ballsy stream yesterday. Great stuff on there. Bindles, definitely one of the better streamers out there, and certainly recommend you follow him, subscribe to him if you don't already. All right, Fantasy Dog number 6, morning y'all. Hey, Fantasy Dog, thank you so much for hopping in today. Yes, if you if you could throw me a like and a sub, that goes a long way to keep this little operation rolling along. All right, we are on the clock. I don't think there's any need for like a Baker. Might just queue up Mason here to take a 3rd running back. I love the discussion on Best Ball Breakfast yesterday, where they were talking about that report that seemed like they I can't remember who made it, but Crack Rock, I think, and acted like they had some big scoop that Jordan Mason was the goal line back, calling them the Vulture. And so now, in my head now, Jordan Mason is just the Vulture. So we'll add the Vulture to the team. I think he's a perfectly fine 3rd running back, one of those nice backs who has standalone plus contingent value. Happy to add him to the crew. We are still short a tight end. And let's see what we add to the team. Justin Fields would be an interesting addition with Garrett Wilson. I had thought about taking Darnell Mooney to do the London double stack. That would prioritize getting Penix later. But again, I did feel like I wanted to add at least one more running back that I felt somewhat confident in to this team with Kamara and Pollard. I really like Pollard. You know, there is some coach speak saying that they want to get Spears more involved, but they said that last year too, and it really was more of Pollard's backfield. But there is a chance that ends up being a little more of a split. Obviously, I'm drafting him where I am thinking that he's going to have the kind of role he did last year, but he is not a pick without at least some level of risk attached to him. But let's see what comes to us. I think I would like to get Fields. If I go Fields, I will probably just shut it down at 2 quarterbacks. If Fields go, I was going to say Rashid Shaheed would be nice. Get a couple of Saints on the team. That then opens up like a sort of late Tyler Shuck add to the crew. Keon Coleman's been something of a riser. This wide receiver range gets thinned out pretty hard after that. I mean, Bateman's fine, Burden's nice, but it starts getting a little more sketchy here. I think if Fields went, for me, the pick would have been either Andrews or Evan Ingram, and probably Mark Andrews, but I think they're both fine. So let's take Justin Fields. Let's commit to this being a 2 QB team, barring some truly unforeseen event. JT Best Ball, what up, Chad? GM to you. JT Best Ball, I saw you on out there with I think it was Who Hames. So awesome stuff on there. Dirty P booting me from his Hertzig team. That hurts. That is painful. But you know what? It's okay. I'll see. There's still time to earn my way back onto the squad. Let's pull the board back up and see what is going on here. Brock Purdy goes right after Fields. So we definitely do need a tight end on this team. Ertz is not going to be a bad option. He goes pretty late and pairs with Daniels. Jordan Mason is a stack with Fields. So we have 2 natural stacks that both we could target at this sort of 151, 162 pick if we kind of pencil in a tight end there. If we make Ertz our first tight end, then we'll definitely need to add a third. I think being that we have not taken a tight end yet, this is likely to be a 3 tight end team. But obviously, we will see what the board presents to us. Nobody needs to twist my arm to take a Cam Scatabo share. This is a really big fall on Kyler Murray. I'm shocked that he's still here, but I don't think he adds anything to this team the way it's constructed. But I now that I have Kamara, Pollard, Mason, and Scatabo, I feel a lot better about this running back room, and we're really going to be leaning on Puka, London, Wilson, and Debo at receiver. I think this team is fine. I think if we can get lucky at tight end, and this team is going to feel pretty good. This could be a 2-6-7-3 type team. We're just going to go 3 late tight ends, and we'll just try to scoop up whatever value at running back and receiver, because I don't think we really need to prioritize one too much over the other, at least how I see this team coming together. Dirty P says I booted myself. Well, again, I know I did it to myself, but I felt like I gave, I tried to give it as much warning as possible before I did it. But, even just warning, it wasn't enough to overcome the sin of passing on Jamar Chase at the 101. Tyler, what's up, GM to you? Emo Cowboy, thank you so much for coming in this morning. One of the good ones. Working all over the place. Fantasy Sanctuary has some incredible content. If you want to learn ball, that is should be one of your first ports of call. And if you want to be entertained and learn ball, the Typhal Tower stream that they do is fantastic. It now has its own dedicated YouTube channel. So Tyler, one of the hardest working people here, and one of the most genuine and nice people here. So I'll even say the word kind. One of the kindest people here. So if you don't follow all of Emo Cowboy's pursuits, I think you should. With that said, Luther Burden would have been nice, but Tucker Kraft is even nicer. I think this This is clearly a Tucker Craft pick. I swear this 20-second clock is going faster than normal. I don't know what that is. I almost feel like these clocks are shorter than 20 seconds. Am I crazy? Yeah, look, it is. It's 12 seconds. Is this all of them? Are they? I thought these were 20-second rooms. Am I losing my mind? What is the clock? 20-second clock. But look what the clock's doing. The clocks are starting at 12. I'm not crazy. I'm not crazy, people. Look at this. Watch when the noob has. We're starting at 12. It's a clock display glitch. Oh my god. All right, Evo Cowboy. I feel like I've been going crazy this draft. Like every time I'm about to pick, I'm like, let me see if I refresh the page, will that fix it? Sorry, it's gonna go dark for a second here. Let's see if that fixes it. I'm here thinking I'm here. Skeletor GM. I'm here thinking I've uncovered some great mystery, and it's like you're like, no, you idiot. You're just it's a glitch. You're fine. All right. Well, still, you know what? I was panicking. All right. Let's see. What do we need? Speaking of panicking, man, I wish I had some reason to take Jared Goff, but I think that's wrong. Kyle Williams has been a really difficult click for me here. Let's see if we can change it to QJ. I know QJ. Yeah, I don't take Kyle Williams, but I'm willing to take QJ. I've been trying to get a little more QJ. I think he is going to start the season as the number 2 for the Chargers, and I don't necessarily want him only if I have Herbert. So I'll take a QJ share. I think he's, we in the fantasy community, he's really maligned, but Kyle Williams, I'm a little worried that Kyle Williams is like the 4th or 5th receiver. He may work his way up, but we weren't even that excited about him as a prospect until, Chris Sims put him into, really high up, and all of a sudden we all became kind of woke to Kyle Williams. I think he's a perfectly fine click, but this seems early. Like, to me, I put him more in that, I'd rather be taking him in like the 160s. I feel like that's a much more fair price, but he's kind of anchored to where he was earlier in the season. So I'll take him. Kincaid might make sense. I know I said I was going to take Ertz and Mason, but I don't need to be too rigid as far as that. Obviously, again, Michael Penix is here tempting me to make this a 3 QB team, but I think we're going to try to avoid that, and we'll queue up Kincaid here. All right. Let's see what's going on. Jake Vinegar, GM to you. He thinks it's a glitch. My phone says 20. Jake, are you in this draft? We are. Hold on. We are picking. I guess I will just take a Marvin Mims share. I think that's perfectly fine on this team. Week 12 bye. I guess we're piling up the week 12 buys, but I don't really care too much about that. Yeah, I don't. This is so weird with the clock thing. Yeah, we'll take a Marvin Mims share, and then take probably target our friend Zach Ertz with the next pick, but we'll see what the room gives to us. All right, that whole clock thing really threw me off. Jake, are you in this draft? If so, please let me know. Please let me know. Sean, GM, hot best summer hot. Yes, it is. We're in the thick of it. It is officially hot best ball summer. We are training camp is about to start. We're going to get some real news. We're going to see, depth chart changes. We're going to see, guys we like running with the 3s. We're going to see guys we're out on running with the 1s. It's going to shake things up. Finally get some truly actionable stuff, which is going to be awesome. Tyler, if you let the clock tick past 0, it'd be longer than a second. Happened a lot last year. We're told it's no big deal. Yeah, it's no big deal until you auto a guy you don't want, or it's panic. I don't like to just draft by the clock running out. Like, I want to click the button most of the time. So, it forces you to hit it early if you don't want it to just time out on you. Al Boogie says, Tyler, nice stream with Pat. As soon as you drafted Chade and T, I knew no shot you were Chase and T. I knew there was no shot you were getting Burrow. It's always the ones you most want, the Burrow fall that it doesn't happen. I'll just take Zach Ertz here. I think that's fine. We'll lock up that little battery there. Yeah, I had a yesterday, one of my stream drafts. I thought I was going to get the Burrow push, and then it was like, nope, he's just going to go unstacked randomly at like pick 64. Packers go Burr with healthy. Jordan Love says DQ 105. I see the vision. I am pretty bullish on the Packers. I find myself taking a lot of Tucker Kraft. I think some of their ancillary pieces are fine too. I love getting Golden and or Reed. I think those guys have a chance to be pretty high upside picks. nearly though. Al Boogie says, Tyler, it's always the one that got away. Al Boogie's asking Sean if he took his Metamucil yet. You're up early, folks. A reminder to A, like and subscribe. B, make sure your fiber intake is up to par, or Al Boogie 78 will personally check in on you. Fantasy Dog is good. He's got his morning coffee. DQ 105 reminds us that QJ is a John Harbaugh guy, and that's why I've capitulated and started taking him, even though I think if Underdog, once they fix the 20-second clock display, they need to add drops as a stat, and then QJ and Wicks will go screaming up draft boards to where they belong. Yes, Tyler is thanking Al Boogie. Sean says, Boog, check your DMs, old man. Al Boogie, check your DM. Sean is trying to get to you there. Let's take Rico Dowdle here. I think if I don't get Mason Taylor, I'm not going to be too devastated. But I think I want to add a couple of these running backs that I think are not zeros. Again, Dowdle I think is going to be the kind of running back I like, who is a contingent upside plus standalone value. He sort of fits that mold of player that I prefer taking versus just taking a pure handcuff, especially at pick 175. I think that is nice to get that kind of bonus there. Let's see. Jake Vinegar just sniped your Kincaid. I'm sorry. All right, I will check out your team in a moment here. Al Boogie's checking his DMs. Tyler is annoyed with the Underdog support, is not a fan. Tyler, I mean, they simply will not send me a shirt for maxing BBM last year. And apparently there was a forum and people got shirts and they're just like, there's no such thing. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know. All I want, if I max BBM, I've never gotten my cactus. I've never gotten a shirt. I just want a shirt. I'd even wear it while streaming. No t-shirt for poor old Chad Candles. Fantasy Dog couldn't get past AI with a draft clock problem the other day. Yeah, many such cases, but it's an odd glitch, and it just makes everything feel like really panicky. This is an interesting decision. I've got two clicks I really like. I've got Diami Brown and Miles Sanders. I haven't taken I'm just going to take Diami Brown because he's honestly like one of my favorite clicks in the whole thing, and I can take a different contingent value running back later. There goes Miles Sanders, who was certainly in contention. If he is the running back one in Dallas, then I'm going to wish I had clicked him there. I have been taking a lot of Miles Sanders myself. Again, I let Mason Taylor go, but I think that's okay. Justin Fields, not a guy I need to double stack, and I do have Garrett Wilson. So I'm with Kraft and Ertz. I'm fine just pushing tight end to be very late. If Taylor's there next, I will take Taylor. If not, then I will pick my favorite running back du jour in this range. Probably be Marshawn Lloyd. Have a small bet on the Packers with Tucker Kraft. If not, I think that's fine. We could look at Keaton Mitchell if we want to, get really sweaty and think of him as the bring back to to our one Green Bay piece. I didn't go too super heavy prioritizing bringbacks. Maybe, thinking about it more, taking Miles Sanders would have made sense with a Jaden Daniels stacked team. that might have been better than taking Diami Brown. But I do feel like there's a greater chance that Diami Brown is hitting my lineup than Miles Sanders. At least if Miles Sanders does not have that role in Dallas. If he does, I have plenty of exposure to him in other contests. Sean says, "Don't worry, I got a cactus for maxing. I'd rather get the shirt." See, at least you got the cactus. You have a cactus. I have nothing. I lost money last year on BBM. I did not make a finals team. We had 5 semis teams, and none of them survived. So, I got no cactus. I got no finals. It is a tough scene. Tyler says, "They're so bad about that stuff. I've got a spare shirt. DM me your size and Addy, and I'll send you if a medium." Well, Tyler, thank you. We'll chat offline. Maybe I'll hit you up on that. But I do not want to take your shirt. I know you have some good Underdog swag. I've seen in some pictures. So I do appreciate that. See, that's what I said. One of the most kind people in the industry. I'm not just making it up. He's living that truth. So we are coming up. I meant to have the draft board up more so people could see what was going on, and failed miserably. We do see Christian Watson going here. Let me see real quick. Right. Jake, you were the Kincaid drafter, so that means you must be using our powers of deduction. You are JT Binninger. That makes sense because Binninger is in your name. We cracked the code. Let's go over your team real quick. You had Gibbs, Tyreek Hill, Chase Brown. Love the start. DK Metcalf. So you are the one who picked up the falling Jalen Hurts. Chris Godwin, like the pick. Quinshon Judkins, Darnell Mooney, Keon Coleman. You got the falling Kyler Murray. Makes sense there. Luther Burden, Dallas Goedert, Dalton Kincaid. So you were able to stack Hurts with Goddard. A nice fall in Kincaid. Tank Bigsby, Michael Wilson. So back stacking Kyler, the falling Miles Sanders, and then Darius Slayton. Hey, all these guys make sense. I like your team. You scooped up a ton of value. I think that's pretty strong, especially in these small, shorter entry contests where, sorry, I'm about to pick. I think in these contests where you don't have unlimited bullets, there's a lot of people reaching for guys, and you can grab some falling value. So I'm just going to take Dalton Schultz. Is he the most exciting click? No, but I think he's perfectly fine, and I'll just take him in the 18th round. So this team ends up being a 2-6-7-3 with, hold on, let's see who JT Binninger. So he ends with Jalen Coker, like the pick there. So our team ends up as a 2-6-7-3 with Jaden Daniels, Justin Fields at quarterback, Alvin Kamara, Tony Pollard, Jordan Mason, Cam Scatabo, Rico Dowdle, and Marshawn Lloyd. Wide receiver room of Puka Nacua, Drake London, Garrett Wilson, Deebo Samuel, Quentin Johnson, Marvin Mims, and Diami Brown, with Tucker Kraft, Zach Ertz, and Dalton Schultz at tight end. Is this my favorite team? No. Is this a bad team? No. I think this team is fine. I think it's well constructed. Would have liked maybe to prioritize a little more of the week 17 stuff, but honestly, that's a little less important with such a small final. And so what are we going to do? Well, we're going to fire up another Dachshund. So if you want to hop in, I am going to count down from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, let's see. We're waiting for 10. My God. So let's see if this has hope of filling. If not, I will try to fire up a BBM. I don't want to just wait here all morning. I started this stream early so that I wouldn't run into the ship chasing buzzsaw at 10. But I imagine this thing should fill. I think this should fill in the next couple of minutes. Tyler says, I've taken most of the good stuff at the get-togethers. I have plenty time to air up the big Underdog floaty mythology, and I stole. That's awesome. Yeah, I need some cool like swag behind me if I'm really gonna upgrade my this streaming game. Fantasy Dog, Tyler is as studly as anyone. That's more and more people are saying this. Jake says we got there. Jake, I like your team. I appreciate it. Thanks for hanging out and for drafting here. It is fun to do some of these drafts with you all. And I'm glad you are happy with your team. Fantasy Dog 20-minute draft. He's in his last one. Well, Fantasy Dog, thank you for running your Dachshunds here with me, and hopefully we can get this filled soon. We are now waiting for 5. If anyone wants to hop in, let me see if I can. Waiting for 4. 20 sec. Dachshund. I don't know how to spell that dog. All right, so we are waiting for 4. I still don't know how to spell dachshund, and this is going to fill so fast that it's not worth learning. I didn't do too bad. I was close. All right, Skeletor says, Tyler can't use the word stole. Gotta say tactically acquired. That almost sounds like it's from like the military, like you use those euphemisms, like you acquired this. So I don't know if that's where that's from. Skeletor. Mike Deck 22, hey, thanks so much for hanging out. It was fun drafting with you yesterday. I know the algo by happenstance brought us together, and we were already in a room together. So Mike Deck 22, thanks for coming in. Fantasy Dog says your last team is good. Hey, thanks, Fantasy Dog. I think it's fine. I think for me, I'm so used to building 3 QB teams and trying to see those 3 stacks. But yeah, I think that team was perfectly fine. Not every team you're going to leave like, oh, this team's awesome. And that's probably good, right? Because I don't want to be taking the same guys every time. Like, I love Jamison Williams, but I don't need 100% exposure. So I hear you. Tiger Uppercut, GM. Thank you for stopping by, GM Crander. Yeah, it was acquired. It was acquired perfectly. Wow, we just snap filled. And X-Wall, does Tyler have any used banana hammocks I can get? Permanently borrowed, says Tyler. Skeletor, yes, it originates from the Marines. I'm a Marine. All right, I knew. I could tell. That sounded like a military euphemism. So my radar was correct. So let's see who got in with us. Flaccid Panda is here. I don't know who Flaccid Panda is, but my God, they are here with us. Absolute Dog here hanging out as well. Is that you? Sorry, Fantasy, or excuse me, Mike Deck 22. I forget. Are you Absolute Dog? Let's see who we know in here. JT Vinegar, good to see you in this room. Fantasy Dog is in here. I'm getting confused. There's too many dogs. We are at the dog tipping point. But all right, Chad Kendalls is here at the 8. I guess, why did I read my own name? I'm at the 8. That was odd. Okay, let's go before anything more happens, and we are on the clock. All right, yes, Mike Deck 22 is Absolute Dog. I see you in there. Shout out to Flaccid Panda. Agreed, Skeletor. And yes, respect. Yes, as Fantasy Dog says, and I should have. Thank you for your service, Skeletor. That is keeps people like me able to sit here and stream from the comfort of my home. So thank you for your service, Mike Deck 22. Okay, so you are Absolute Dog, Fantasy Dog in the 7 hole. This is a dog park stream, 100%. Wow, and do somebody Bijan or Saquon. Saquon is going to go like at pick 6 or later. It's crazy. He's Fantasy Dog. Is he going to pass? Am I going to get Saquon at 8? I'm incredulous. So, I mean, yeah, it was too much to hope for that I would be the recipient. But you know what? I'll take Jahmyr Gibbs at 8. That is a perfectly nice consolation prize. So let's break down why that happened. We had Grim 2K. He took Puka Nacua at 1. So again, people do this in these smaller entry contests. People have more of a tendency to flip the board, and you can stand there scooping up value. So Puka goes at 1, CD Lamb up to 3. So both those things are just going to push Saquon out a little bit. And then Malik Neighbors at 6. So weird stuff. Now A-Chain in the 10 hole. So let's see sometimes you get these weird first rounds and then the draft completely normalizes after that. But very interesting start. So Absolute Dog, he takes CD Lamb. JT Vinegar takes Bijan. Fantasy Dog gets the gift of Saquon at 7, and I took Gibbs at 8. All right. I would love Drake London. Don't know if I'm going to get him. I don't get a ton of AJ Brown. He's kind of the guy I'm coolest on. I'm much more excited about Lad, but you know what? We'll just take AJ Brown. I don't want to fade him. I just think Lad is more fun, and I don't love that week 17 Eagles Bills game. I just have this like awful feeling that's going to be kind of a sloggy, run heavy game that's over in 2 hours, but I could be wrong about that. And if that's a shootout, then you're going to want pieces of that. So I'll take a AJ Brown share there. DQ 105. I mean, the Saquon faders, y'all, AJ Brown and Devontae Smith bags should be so heavy. Yeah. I mean, somebody's going to score points on that team. And if you think it's not Saquon or you think he's going to get hurt, then they're going to have to throw a lot. So you should have, also a ton of Will Shipley probably, or AJ Dillon. But I think Shipley is, I think the departure of Gainwell shows that they really are committed to Shipley. So I'm pretty comfortable with Shipley as the play there. Al Boogie 78. The winner is being drafted in this pot. AJ, I'm way off on. Yeah, I don't get a ton of AJ Brown, but I do want that closer to market. I don't want to have I don't want to have a fade position on AJ Brown. Like, to me, Lad versus AJ is like 55-45, but so I don't want to click it like 90-10. I'm just not that confident in that take. I think it just Lad is the more fun player, and sometimes those Eagles pass catchers can have just those like weird down games that kind of happen. So I got AJ Brown, Fantasy Dog. He takes Lad. JT Vinegar, he goes robust RB with Bijan and Taylor, and Absolute Dog, aka Mike Deck 22, he goes Lamb, Hill, and McBride. I like the teams everyone is constructing so far. But yeah, we see things kind of normalize, right? Like the Puka drafter then just took Jacobs and JSN. So, they're probably trying to get some unique combos and flip the board a little bit. Although, I would argue that Puka at 7 gets enough JSN. And if you really wanted, you could just take Josh Jacobs at 18. So like, I don't really love the way that they executed their board flip, because I don't think they did anything unique. They just kind of took stuff in a wonky order. I don't know. I think that's something to be careful of when you flip the board, that you're actually like doing something. All right, so we will get Chase Brown here. We're gonna go a little heavier on the running backs. I really love Garrett Wilson. I think that's fine, but let's take a little bit of ADP value on Chase Brown. Add him to Jahmyr Gibbs. Potentially gives us a sort of cover if we want to get really cute and be the horrible Joe Burrow sniper. I don't think I want to be that guy, but now if I did, I could tell myself a story there. I'm much more likely to try to get Jalen Hurts. Unfortunately, when you're here in the 8 hole, you either have to take him kind of early at 41 or hope he comes all the way to 46, which does not never happen, but it is rare. I think it's sort of the it's similar decision to the Burrow push, but I think more people opt to push Hurts and just say that you can take AJ Brown unstacked. I think more people are willing to attempt that than Joe Burrow, who you typically see is pushed maybe about half the time. All right, let's see what is coming to us. Probably need to prioritize a wide receiver in this range. I could take Jameson Williams and just make a very heavy bet on the Lions, which I like. Tet McMillan, fun click. DJ Moore is nice. I love George Kittle, but I think I need a wide receiver when I have started 2 running backs here. Don't want to fall too far behind in receiver. So let's just make a big bet on the Lions. I do this a lot. I take a ton of Jameson Williams, but this is only a 4 max. So I'm willing to do that in my 4max contest. Just prioritize that versus getting unique. If this was a BBM, probably would have seen me take DJ Moore in that position. So we don't even get close to executing the Jalen Hurts push because Fantasy Dog 1 takes him, but that makes sense because he had Saquon Barkley. So essentially locked up, virtually all of the touchdown equity on what we presume is going to be an elite offense. So I do not mind the Hurts Barkley stack. I think if the Eagles are as good as last year, then that is pretty nice. All right. Jordan Atienza, thank you so much for coming in this morning. Phil Buffalo is in Buffalo. Josh in the cold. Go Burr. Could be. It could be. I mean, that game, I think, depending on how you read that game should really impact how you draft. And I think for me, unfortunately, I worry that it is going to be a cold weather game of two teams whose preference is to run it with pretty decent defenses. I just worry it's not, you hear Philly, you hear Buffalo, you think offense, you think shootout. I just worry that game in the cold could actually be kind of low scoring, or at least run heavy and kind of like low number of possessions. I think that's what I'm afraid of. So that's why to me that game is like, one I don't want to be going crazy on versus, like you're kind of like when we had a Lions Cowboys, that week 18 game 2 years ago, it was like going to be indoors, bad defenses, good offenses. Like we were really excited about that game. I want to be excited about Bills Eagles, but I'm like having some trouble getting there. So there goes Chuba Hubbard. He would have been a nice pick for us. I think Travis Hunter is going to keep falling. Obviously, this is time box, so if I want him, I should take him here. Interesting choice. If I'm going to do a get my guy draft, then I would take Calvin Ridley, who I like more than some of these other guys. I like Ridley more than Flowers, although I'm definitely coming around a little bit to Zay Flowers, but I'll take a Calvin Ridley share. I'm pretty in on Cam Ward, so this will potentially open a Cam Ward late round quarterback stack. It gives me a little flexibility in how I try to chase quarterbacks. I'm also I'm frozen out already on AJ Brown as a stack. I don't have any other this is going to make Goff a priority. But if we get, if we miss out on Goff, then we're really going to be struggling. If I had taken Flowers there, then I would not be able to stack my first three receivers, which is a little bit of a tough position to be in. On Joel Worth, hey, first of all, thanks so much for coming by this morning. I'm choosing to remember the 2023 Philly Buffalo game that went 37-34. Yeah, that's the dream, right? Like if that's the scenario, then you should be taking an Eagle and or Bill in every draft. Like, cause that those kind of, if you could guarantee you had a 51 point game, a 71 point game, then you're going to want pieces of that. GM2, thanks so much for coming in and hanging out. Fantasy Dog, he reaches across the heavens. Al Boogie 78, like a Ouija board. Are you with us? Let's find out. Do I want to be the Joe Burrow sniper? I don't think I do. I think I'd rather just take an RJ Harvey share. I think we'll take some RJ Harvey here. I know there has been some, panic in the streets that Harvey is not getting the role that we all hope for. Potentially even McLaughlin didn't completely go away, which is scary, calling Dobbins the starter. I think, there's a good chance that Dobbins is the quote unquote starter and is on the field first. But I think by the end of the season, hopefully Harvey absorbs more of the backfield and, has the bigger share of whatever kind of split that is. Travion Henderson would have been an interesting click. I think I would have been fine taking either of them if I did not, try to be the evil Joe Burrow sniper. But our friend Fantasy Dog 1, he takes Burrow and Jalen Hurts. So he goes double elite, or elite-ish quarterback. I guess Burrow, I don't know if you'd call this double elite because it's Burrow versus like going Hurts and Daniels. But regardless, takes 2 quarterbacks in the first 6 rounds. Fantasy Dog says, if Burrow makes it to me in the 60s, hard to pass on. Well, you lived up to that, Fantasy Dog. You did not pass up on him. DQ105, Joe Burrow's most polarizing pick this year. He can go in rounds 4 through 7. Yep. He goes on. He has been sliding though. His ADP is dropping. So the Joe Burrow pushers are slowly winning the battle, but Fantasy Dog won, holding the line at pick 66. Fantasy Dog had to take Burrow. Crazy ADP. The thing about his ADP is it's like, you know, ADP is average draft position, and his average is kind of, you know, he tends to go either at like 49 or 72, or, you know, I shouldn't say that. He goes at 49 or 70, right? Like he typically either goes to the Jamar Chase drafter or the T Higgins drafter. And the T Higgins drafter either is the Jamar Chase drafter or is typically in the 1 through 3 hole. So his average is kind of like in this weird range where he doesn't actually go all that often, right? Like he tends to either go here or here. So I do struggle with like calling Burrow an ADP value when, you know, there are people who tend to get him a little bit later or very early. I don't know if that was making sense. But let me see who we are up. Let's take a Ricky Pearsall share. I'm pretty in on Pearsall this season. He opens up Purdy. You know, he looked good out there, and the more bearish news about Ayuk, I think the better for old Ricky Pearsall. So we'll add him to the team. Fantasy Dog, Burrow 5A, Mayfield 5B. Yeah, I mean, they're definitely similar bets. They're offenses that we like, pocket passers with, you know, not stone zero rushing upside. Like they'll, you know, scramble a little bit. You know, they'll have, you know, they might run it in from in close every now and then, but pretty rarely. Not like they're pretty much pure pocket passers. Al Boogie, Burrow ADP 63 at the moment. This is fine. Making Kevin proud. Well, you know what? This is fine. First of all, GM to you. And if we're not making our friend Kevin proud, then what are we doing? Truly, well, you know, what are we doing today? So let's see what the room provides for us here. After I make my pick, I'll try to go over what our friends and family in the room are doing. So Reed goes, I would love Matthew Golden. I do not get Matthew Golden. Darnell Mooney, interesting pick. TJ Hawkinson. I think this is another Hawkinson team if K Mac Duder gives it to me, because probably you know, he's a really nice bring back for my my Lions stack that I'm building. So as much as I like Mooney and I think a 5th receiver would be kind of nice here, let's take Hawkinson, and this also will enable us to end at 2 tight ends and feel decent about it, depending on, you know, where our next tight end pick ends up being. Is this will give us some optionality there. So our friend Fantasy Dog, after he took Joe Burrow, he added Sam Laporta and Darnell Mooney. Those picks make sense. JT Vinegar, so he had Bijan, Jonathan Taylor, MHJ, DJ Moore, Devonta Smith, Travion Henderson, David Montgomery, and he's going to take Kyler Murray here. All right, he takes Kyler Murray. Absolute dog. He has CeeDee Lamb, Tyreek Hill, Trey McBride, George Pickens. So he's going to be catching up at running back, and he does by taking Alvin Kamara and Tony Pollard. Also adds Deebo Samuel. I like Deebo Samuel at 60 quite a bit. So I like the teams that our friends are putting together. I think they all make sense. I like JT Vinegar. I think, you know, opening 2 running backs, but then getting MHJ, DJ Moore, Devonta Smith, that's not a bad starting 3 at all. And you add Bijan and JT to that. Pretty darn good team. And you're able, of course, to get that Kyler MHJ stack. Absolute dog. He adds Jaylen Warren to his team. So All right. Sorry, in my head, George Pickens was still in Pittsburgh for a half a second there, but yeah, no, Jaylen Warren, perfectly reasonable pick. Jake Vinegar says that the 12 hole is going crazy. I got to see what the 12 hole is doing. So he takes Baker at 61, stacks him with Egbuka and Godwin and Evans. So he just has a giga stack. So he stacks Lamar and Henry. He triple stacks Baker. I guess if you're just paranoid that you're not going to get your stack, then you take him at 61. But Baker, this BKM way does it his own BKM or BK my way, Burger King my way. I see what you did there. Oh my gosh, I just minimized my screen. Jordan Mason would make sense on this team. Unfortunately, Jordan Mason just goes. I'll queue up Purdy here. Although part of me thinks I kind of just want to take Ingram and go, you know what, we're going to take Purdy. There's some weird quarterback stuff going on. I'll just take Purdy to stack with Pearsall. I think it's getting a little cute. I was thinking of taking Evan Ingram and then just ending at 2 tight ends, but I think that's wrong. I think the pick was really between Scatabo or if you're into Etienne and then Purdy there. I do have a little difficulty taking Purdy ahead of Justin Fields because I think in a vacuum, Justin Fields is just going to score more fantasy points. But again, I don't need to have Justin Fields on every team, and I'll build a little bit of this, Niners stack here. All right, Whohames, sup fam, GM Whohames, thank you so much for hanging out this morning. If you don't subscribe to Whohames, you should. Whohames, one of the better streamers out there, a great follow and a great guy. Al Boogie 78, part of the Who crew, says hello. Jake Vinegar says 4 running backs incoming. Well, let's see what happens. BK my way. Yeah. Oh, because he has no running backs. No. I don't know if you're referring to still talking about the 12 hole. But either way, Rizzo here, he takes Dak completely unstacked. Not sure why he did that, but I think it's too cute for me to do anything other than to take Jared Goff. We have Gibbs, we have JMO, and we have a bring back with Hawk. So we now have Purdy and Goff. I like this start. If we have to end up with only 2 quarterbacks, if we get frozen out later, I am more than okay with how that shook out for me. So just going over the team for the audio listeners, we have a 2-3-4-1 with Purdy and Goff, running back room of Jahmyr Gibbs, Chase Brown, and RJ Harvey, wide receiver room of AJ Brown, Jamison Williams, Calvin Ridley, Ricky Pearsall, and TJ Hawkinson, holding it down at tight end. JT Vinegar, what does he do? Or Fantasy Dog, what does he do? Since adding Mason, he then adds Rashad Bateman to his team. Makes sense. Bateman, one of the better receiver clicks in this range, one of the only receiver clicks in this range. JT Vinegar, he gets a little falling value on Evan Ingram. That makes sense. He needed a tight end on his team. And Absolute Dog takes David Njoku. Speaking of tight ends, David Njoku, maybe a mini bring back on Jaylen Warren. Maybe that was just his favorite tight end click, but now he has McBride and Njoku. So a pretty decent tight end room for Absolute Dog, who also previously added Rashid Shaheed there at 99. I like the Rashid Shaheed click. Makes sense. You also have Alvin Kamara, so building a little bet on the Saints there. Trevor Lawrence goes. JJ McCarthy goes. So quarterbacks seem like they're going a little early. This is somewhat early for T-Law. I think this is a little bit early for Dak. This is definitely early for Stroud. So we're seeing a little bit of a mini QB panic coming together, folks. I'm going to be honest. We are witnessing a slight panic in the streets here. Hopefully everybody is okay. For me, let's see what we need. I really like Kraft. I like Burden. I take a ton of Tootin, but I've cooled off on him. Let's see what Fantasy Dog does in this situation. He takes Mims. Interesting. So I think I'm going to add Luther Burden to this team. I think he's a perfectly fine fifth receiver, and also is a nice bring back to Brock Purdy in week 17. So we get a little bit, a little game stack there. And now again, I feel like if I end this team with 7 receivers, I will be okay. I don't feel like I need to make this up with volume now, having Burden as a wide receiver 5. Let's see what the room is willing to hand to us now. I was going to say Loveland, maybe if I really want to end at 2 tight ends and then take Loveland as part of that Chicago, mini team stack and bring back. Again, really kind of a gross range for us. Nothing really sticking out. Isaac Garendo is a click I don't love making, but I will take him here. I'm worried he's not actually the backup, because I'm kind of a Jordan James believer, but I don't want to end up with none of him. He makes sense in this Burrow, in this Purdy build. So we'll take him there. All right. Whoham's a hardworking guy, and love that he's willing to stop by early here and hang out with us. Jake, you're looking at a 4 running back team. Bijan, Taylor, Henderson, and Montgomery. Yeah, I see the vision there. I mean, I think you're also, I think you have some nice flexibility in how you wind out your team. I like your team so far. Mike Rob, great morning content, man. You make dealing with the office acceptable. Hey, Mike Rob, thanks so much for hanging out. It is so much fun to do this with you all, and I am glad if I can help people get their day started. Fantasy Dog hates this part of the draft. See, for me, the part I hate is weirdly enough this like 3-4 area. If you don't get like Garrett Wilson, which is kind of weird here, this like Hall, Kyron, Cook, and then you're like kind of deciding between this like flat-ish tier of receiver. I'm not comfortable there here. I'm just like, yeah, I'll just take a guy I like. Like for me, it's just focusing on structure and stacks in this point of the draft. So I actually don't mind it. Like, yeah, I'm not excited. I say I don't mind it, and I just like complained about taking the guy I took. But like at the end of the day, like it's, you take the guys you need or the guys that, fit your build or your stacks. And I feel like there's usually someone that kind of fits that build. Mike Deck 22, unstack Dak Snipe, forced my hand here. I don't know why that guy took Dak there. That was weird. Because yeah, you took Lamb and then took Pickens. So, maybe for you, yeah, you didn't even get a chance. You're not going to take Dak at 99. I don't know why that happened. I don't know why that person did that. That was odd. That was odd. I'll queue up Cam Ward. If I don't get Cam Ward, it's fine, but I just don't want to forget about him. I don't want to try to push him around. I don't think there's a particular need to take Penix here. Tyler Algier is nice. I like Algier a lot. One of the reasons I like Algier in I guess I'm later in the draft. As I say earlier, it gives you a little leverage against the Bijan drafter. You can end up with similar teams to that person. But if you take Algier and something happens to Bijan, you're just like, giga leveraged. Or if you took a receiver, like this was a weird draft, but if you took Jefferson instead of Bijan, and then you take Algier later, you're kind of doubling your bet there. And I kind of like doing that. But that's not really applicable to where I am drafting here. So we took Cam Ward on that team. I still gonna need another tight end here. Algier is still here. Bigsby is a perfectly fine click. Let's see what the room gives to us. I think I would prefer Brenton Strange. And then, so if I have Strange and Hawkinson, I can end at 2 tight ends. If I don't get Strange here, then I might actually have to like take 3 tight ends. I don't really want to go super late tight end plus Hawkinson, but I'm pretty in on Strange. I kind of see him as someone who's going to be a reliable starter for me. So I'll take Brenton Strange there, and now I'm going to be done at tight end with Hawkinson and Strange. I guess you could argue that, maybe I take Chig instead later, and I take take a Bigsby or an Allen or a Roshan, but I really did kind of want to end this team at 2, having now taken that third quarterback here. Mims with a 20% snap share. Mims is a very polarizing player. People either think he is a high efficiency smash who's great in best ball, or they think it's a guy who's going to be on the bench, 90% of the time and it stinks. DQ105 says Mims fits Underdog's scoring, and Hames does not like the 8, 9, 10 on the left side of the board. Let's see, on the left side of the board, the 8, 9, 10. Yeah, it's I think for me, I agree, because I don't like these receivers. I mean, I don't mind Kupp and Pittman, but yeah, for me, the 10 and 11, like this range, if you're not taking a quarterback, feels really iffy. I'm going to try to stop. I know we're in the middle of this. I'm going to try to fill a Dachshund because I want to get out of here by 10. And I'm afraid if I wait, I won't. So I'm just going to hop in and multi for a minute. We're waiting for 5. So if anyone wants to hop in there, we're going to multi for a couple minutes here, get a little overlap. But this draft is going to be winding down pretty soon. It's moving along, but I think if I wait till it's done, there is no way we are going to finish. Lay the House RM, reminding everybody to eat their fruits and vegetables. Lay the House RM, thank you for that. An excellent reminder on this beautiful Tuesday morning. Lay the House RM, thank you so much for hanging out and for the support. I really truly do appreciate it. Let's see what the room gives to us. Let's see what Fantasy Dog provides here. He winds the clock. We've got the clock glitch. We don't know how much time he has. He takes Alec Pierce. I will simply take Pat Bryant here. I think to do anything else is to pass on a guy that I'm pretty in on. So I'll take Pat Bryant share here at 12. This means that, if I want to take another receiver, I can just take someone super late. Let's see what the Dachshund here, the secondary Dachshund has started. We're in the 7 hole. Hames got in this one. Awesome. So I'm going to be multiing for a couple minutes here. But again, this is just so that we can make sure that we get out of here on time. Let's see what our friends did. Fantasy Dog, since we checked on him, he took Javonte Williams, Josh Palmer, Adam Thielen, Alec Pierce. I love those receivers. I can't say I take much Javonte. I'm just really a Javonte bear, but I see the vision. I'm willing to admit why I'm wrong. I don't think it's a bad pick. It's just one that I'm struggling to get to. JT Binninger, Kyle Williams, nice fall on him versus where he used to go. I think that's a perfectly reasonable punt option to take. Although, I think he should go later. Time box contest is fine. Hollywood Brown, Romeo Dobbs, Mike Gesicki, all those picks make sense. Let's just take a Braylon Allen share here. Let's just take Braylon Allen. I think that's fine. Let's go back over and see if we're on we're 3 picks away in this Dachshund. So we've got Chase, Jefferson, Bijan, Lamb. So Lamb has flipped Saquon in this one. Will we get some kind of miracle Saquon fall? I do not know. Hames expects a puppy of some sort. I hope so, because we need it. This is my last Dachshund. I don't mind streaming BBMs, but if I stream 3 drafts, I don't really love ripping 3 BBMs. I kind of want to do 1 or 2 a day. So I will start outstripping that. Let's see. So, we did a Puka draft. I'm just going to vary it a little. I'm going to take CMC here, just so that all of my, in my Dachshunds are not the same. So let's get CMC on there. Flipping back over here, I want to recap our friends' rooms. We had Absolute Dog. Since we checked in on him, he added Tua, Austin Eckler, Diami Brown, Zach Ertz, and Will Shipley. Love the Diami Brown click. I think he's going to be going in the 14th round. more and more. Zach Ertz makes sense. Will Shipley, I like the Will Shipley click. I almost took him over Braylon Allen. Actually, that was my hesitation when I was taking Braylon Allen, as I was considering Will Shipley ahead of him. So let's flip back to this view. Let's see. Huhames, he got Puka at 10. Nice little fall on Puka Nacua. We are coming up. By ADP, it's going to be one of Henry, Brown, or Ladd. Let's see what the room gives to us there. Ladd goes. I don't know if I want to take another Henry. This will at least give me an excuse to not, another AJ Brown like I just did. Mixed. All right, we're just going to take Derrick Henry. We're going to go we're going to build your grandfather's team and take CMC Henry. We're on the clock over on this side of the universe. Let's make our last picks, an homage to Huhames. Let's take our friend Jarquez Hunter, and then we're going to add one more wide receiver in this room. Huhames is famously a big Jarquez Hunter bull, so I will add him to the team. And that way, if Hunter doesn't work out, I can blame somebody else. FK Coolers is not the biggest Javonte fan, but in the current RB room, I think he gets at least 50% of the snaps in a good offense. Yeah, I mean, he's definitely going to have a role because he's probably the best pass blocker on the team. Did he look bad last year? He just looked like he's just has no more juice. I mean, I say this and then I'm drafting Miles Sanders, speaking of people without any juice, but you get Miles Sanders at the point in the draft where he's almost free, where Javonte, I think there's still a lot of question marks on Javonte. Maybe I do like him more in this contest that's going to fill versus like BBM. I think if the status quo remains and it's still this kind of like murky, all these guys are getting touched. I'm on the clock somewhere. I'm on the clock over here. Dear God. Well, I don't take much Tyler Lockett. I do have Cam Ward. So maybe we'll just round this team out with Tyler Lockett. I think it's more fun to take like a Restrepo, but it could just be as simple as Tyler Lockett is the kind of possession receiver on the Titans there. So we'll add him to the team. So this team ends up being a 3-6-7-2. And I'll recap this team once this pick is made over here. And I promise we will go back to one table. But again, appreciate everybody who was in that draft. That was a fun room. I like the way that the team turned out. I'm going to take JSN over McLaurin. I just really prefer JSN to McLaurin on this team. And if I take McLaurin, it's usually in hopes of getting a Daniel stack. I don't really want to do that. I don't really want to do that on a team where I've started RB. So going back, this was a 3-6-7-2 with Purdy, Goff, and Cam Ward. Running back room of Jahmyr Gibbs, Chase Brown, RJ Harvey, Isaac Guerrero, Braylon Allen, and Jarquez Hunter. Don't mind this team. Have a couple strong early running backs. Then, RJ Harvey, who we're hoping comes on late, and then some contingent value there. AJ Brown, Jamison Williams, Calvin Ridley, Ricky Pearsall, Luther Burden, Pat Bryant, and Tyler Lockett with TJ Hawkinson and Brenton Strange. So I do like that team over there, and I will pop this team back up. Apologies that I did not get to recap the very end of the other picks in that room. Again, if I did not have to, if I did not have this sort of out at 10, I would have waited to fire this one up. But again, I think now we are on pace to fill this up. Let's check in on our friends. I think only Huhames got in here. So Huhames goes Puka, London, Mike Evans, and Lamar Jackson. So he gets the elite quarterback there. Baby Nuts over here gets the Terry McLaurin, Jaden Daniels stack. I am on the clock, and I'm going to resist the siren song of Jamison Williams. I will just take Ted McMillan. I don't want to have 100% exposure as much as I do love my JMO shares. I want to be willing to see the vision that I am wrong, or that JMO gets hurt, or that something happens. Let's see the current RB room in ominous air quotes. Yeah, Who Hames and FK Coolers do not project trades. But yeah, I don't know. My fear, I wake up with a cold sweat that Travis Etienne, who I have stone zero of, gets cut or traded to Dallas. And then, I will have been right about my fade that he's out on Jacksonville and then just get buried by the RB1 on the Cowboys. So I don't know. That makes me nervous. That the dominoes have not all fallen there, but we'll see what happens. Like Who Hames said, it's projecting things is wild, but just think it's possible they sign someone who gets cut. Yep, that could very easily happen. Hopefully it's like Roshan Johnson, right? Because they're fine with Swift and they love Kyle Monangai, and then Roshan Johnson goes to Dallas, and we all get there, and that would be kind of cool, because I have plenty of Roshan, and that's ambiguous. I'm not saying that's going to happen. That's just me really literally making something up, but these running backs, you do see veterans get cut sometimes and then sign on somewhere else, and if that happens with Dallas, I mean, that could be a really valuable role. Who Hames? No, I love your elite QB teams. Get them, guy. Who Hames? See, it's good to be known for something like positive. Like Who Hames just builds. It's like being like a chef who's really good at something, and it's like, oh yeah, that's the dumpling guy. Who Hames is the elite QB builder. So Fantasy Dog appreciates it. I am looking forward to seeing what you cook up in this room. All right. Let's see. Hubbard here makes sense. If he comes to me, I could build out a really big Carolina bet and make this a elite running back room here. If I went McCaffrey, Henry, Hubbard, if Hubbard falls to me, if Hubbard does not fall to me, Zay Flowers, certainly an interesting opportunity. I like Calvin Ridley, as I took last time. Odunze and Jennings, maybe a tier below that for me. Interesting choice. Let's see what D Henley 7 does. He takes Chuba Hubbard. So do I take Henry and Flowers, or do I take Calvin Ridley? I think I'm actually going to take Alvin Kamara. I think I'm going to try to make this a hyper fragile team. Who Hames? I will leave you Zay Flowers. No collusion. I was hoping he'd fall to you. If I didn't take him, I was hoping he'd fall to you. But unfortunately, I was rooting for Flowers to get to you, Who Hames, but he did not. But I was thinking I kind of wanted to build a really strong RB room and see if we can't land the plane. So trying something a little different here. But let's see what Who Hames takes after he does not get Zay Flowers. Steve Schaup, GM to you. He's hoping for a puppy. If you do not subscribe to the FanSpeak Network, you 100% sure Steve does fantastic content out there. Meg, his sister, puts out great stuff. They've got content out every day. They've got guys doing DraftKings streams. Just, they know ball, and they're fun to draft with. I highly recommend checking out FanSpeak Network. I was trying to get in a couple of Steve's drafts last night and failed utterly, but still enjoyed the show. So Steve is on. Last night he was on pretty late. I think Steve randomly streams on his own, but also they have a ton of schedule content, including the famous Best Ball Jeopardy, which really has had a who's who of streamers and fantasy analysts on, and is fantastic. Well done show there. All right, so Fantasy Dog says Who Hames said the same thing. Lay the House RM. I wish Underdog ran as many promos for tickets like DK does. Hard agree there. I just assumed I would get Chris Olave, and I was like kind of surprised he wasn't there. So I'm going to take I'm going to take Chris Godwin here. Hopefully he is ready for week 1. He's the sort of receiver I like when I'm trying to catch up a little bit because, potentially a wide receiver, the number 1 on an offense that we're excited about, but going in the 6th round. So I will take him there. Huhames, after going triple wide receiver, then elite QB, he adds Joe Mixon and RJ Harvey. Joe Burrow, unfortunately, does not go to a good home. He goes naked at pick 67 to D. Henley 7. You hate to see it, folks. You really want to see these quarterbacks go to good homes where they will be, have friends. And instead, he is by himself. But yeah, lay the house RM. I agree. I wish they did more promos for tickets. But they don't. And the other thing that I realized is I'm able to SATI into the 555 on DK. That's the only way I'm going to play that one. And I can't really SATI into that on Underdog. So I just don't play the big dog. And I'd love to get some shares in there. But without pick'ems or without, any kind of daily contest in the off season, maybe, it would be nice if they had some BRs where where you won a ticket to the big dog the next year or something. I don't know. Maybe people wouldn't want to sit on tickets, but I would like that. Fantasy Dog is an avid listener. Oh, Fantasy Dog. Steve is super good, just like you and me as an avid listener. You guys know way more than I do. Yeah, Steve and Huhames know a lot of ball, and definitely know more ball than me. They are they know their stuff, and I love watching from them. Mike Robb, Steve is about to be my enemy number one at senior early board dinner specials after what he does to Neil AARP Orfield. Well, Steve famously has covered the Senior Bowl as a correspondent before, so again, we're talking someone with advanced levels of ball knowledge. So you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna take Tony Pollard here, and then we're gonna say this is hyper fragile. I will not take another running back. Do not let me take another running back. This is stopping at 4. I do not care if Aaron Jones is there in the 18th. Okay, I'm not going to ignore that. But I'm going to try to make a hyper fragile team, and let's see if we can land the plane. Huhames, FK Core, 6-hole projecting trades with this QB room. I'll have to check out the 6-hole in a second. Appreciate his great community with a ton of voices, always trying to support people and help everyone improve. And yeah, a great way to improve your stuff is to watch Steve. Steve finished 4th in the big board last season. Again, just showing that Steve knows his prospects. Laughing at Mike over here. Quid pro quo. First of all, thank you so much for coming by. Naked Burrows getting the ADP value is a trip. Again, yeah, it's the range that he goes in is more useful than the ADP itself, which is just like an average. And it's just the ADP is fake. You either take him way ahead or get him way behind, or you take him naked in the middle, which I feel like you're kind of not understanding the assignment. I'm not saying never to take him naked, but I think it's done a little too much. So Mahomes goes off at 89. Huhames gets Baker. I will just take I'll just take a Darnell Mooney share here. Opens up another potential quarterback, especially with Baker going off the board. Would have been nice to take Baker there. Let's check in on what our friend Huhames has done. So Huhames, since adding Mixon and Harvey, he gets Egbuka at 82 and pairs him with Baker. So he risks it all, pushing Baker around the corner, but it pays off. I mean, this baby nuts here has Daniels, and Jay Thurston had no bucks. So I certainly I think it was worth it to try to get Egbuka, because Egbuka may not have lasted the turn there. And if you end up with unstacked Egbuka, that's fine. Whereas if you just got a skinny Baker, that might not have been the way you were trying to build there. So Huhames, I love that you now have Baker and Lamar, a pretty interesting team that you have begun to put together there. All right. Don't think anything else too odd is going on. These people all need quarterbacks. Brad, Meek, and Brabrino. Unfortunately for me, I don't really need a quarterback in this range. Darnold, Young, go late. Penix goes closer to this 127, 138 kind of range. And, the naked quarterbacks are all pretty much gone. Fields is gone. If I get a naked falling Kyler, maybe same with Bo Nix, but I don't know. We'll probably prioritize tight end and receiver more than a quarterback, unless we really get some kind of crazy falling value coming in. All right. Lay the house RM. Give me baseball and WNBA BRs for BBM tickets. Yes, they should absolutely do that. And then the best part about tickets is they get to double rake you like for your I don't know why they don't do more tickets, because you pay the rake on the contest to get your ticket, and then the ticket has the rake built in. So I don't know why the tickets are not like more of a thing on here. Who Aim says they trying to run promos. This last one forced you to do 4 styles of contests, which a lot of people weren't willing to do. Yeah, Who Aims? I was one of those people, because I don't want to do the marathon. Like I'm not doing it this year, and I don't really want to have like 4 random marathon drafts. I don't, I subscribe to enough stuff to where I can get ranks if I wanted, but I wish they had done 4 like standard-ish. I know the eliminator and like weekly winners are different, but they're at least like you're thinking about week to week stuff versus like total points. So I don't know. I didn't like the inclusion of the marathon there. That was kind of like a hang up for me. So Keon Coleman goes. I guess I'll take Mark Andrews here. I know I said I wasn't going to take more running backs, but Cam Scatabo is there. I'm just going to take a Mark Andrews share. I think that makes the most sense. With apologies to Who Hames, that was not with the intention of sniping a potential add to your team. But I did want to add a tight end. I don't love these receivers. I'm afraid Trey Harris is behind QJ, and we're just taking a exciting rookie like kind of high. I think Trey Harris should go a little later. Hopefully I get one of these, Harris, Shaheed, Burden kind of picks here. If not, then I could take Brock Purdy to pair with CMC. I don't think that's the worst move. I don't want to get completely frozen out at quarterback, but there goes Purdy. So kind of an odd spot in the draft for me, the way that I've constructed this team, where I really can't take more running backs. I think the best picks there kind of were running back maybe. So, again, we're trying something. Don't know if I love how it's coming together, but maybe if I start stacking some of these guys, I will feel better. First QB port of call, though, is Penix. He goes at 143. So my QBs go at 143, 154, and 171. So still a ways away. But the one risk you run is if you're counting on the late QB is that somebody takes them and you have no options late. So yeah, kind of an interesting position to be in. Again, I don't have any reason to take Caleb or Dak on this team. Probably will take one of Harris or Burden here. Let's just see what the room provides to us. All right. Fantasy Dog, Steve Schaup is my arch nemesis draft against Guy. Oh no. Well, you know what? I'll take a Trey Harris share. I know I was like saying how I think he should be drafted later, but I'll take him at this like little ADP dip that I'm getting versus Luther Burden. Of course, I'll feel like an idiot if I take Luther Burden and like Caleb goes giga late, and then I could have made that stack. But Trey Harris does open the potential for a falling Justin Herbert, giving me another out at quarterback. But again, I'm not going to count on that. I don't imagine that Herbert is going to come back to me. All right. DQ105 says, in a smaller field, naked Burrow can work. Yeah, I mean, the naked quarterbacks, I think we learned last year in BR, in BRs at least, naked quarterback has not done enough. You should be taking more naked quarterbacks. And I'm not saying take it a lot. I think it's like you should be doing them at like 10%, but it's done at like less than 5%. So like you should just like be willing to sprinkle them in on occasion. And I think that logic extends to these contests. Like I'll go back to Steve's example. Steve got 4th in the big board, and he had naked Baker Mayfield, and he would not have made it to week 17 without Mayfield giving him a score in week 16. So like there's a concrete example of where the naked QB was necessary to end up with a, big prize winning team, right? Burrow to me is a little odd because I think that offense is so concentrated where like it's hard to imagine Burrow getting there and you not needing one of Higgins or Jamar Chase. I mean, it could be where each of them scores one and Gesicki scores one and he runs one in. Like some, these things happen with any pocket passer, but his draft capital is so high that I feel like you're just drawing to like the thin out A where you get that spike week from a pocket passer, and B, he doesn't drag along somebody that you really need. You know what? We're just gonna take Justin Herbert here and tell ourselves that Herbert and Trey Harris are a real thing. I think that's fine. This will let me, not feel like I've got to reach on Penix if I don't want to. And Penix was stacking my 4th receiver anyway. I'm more excited about Darnold and Bryce Young as stacks here than I was in. So we'll take kind of a weird stack there. So let's see what Huhames has done since we last checked in on him. So he had Egbuka and Baker. Since then, he did get Rashad Bateman. So I feel less bad about taking Mark Andrews because at least you were able to get somebody stacked. So Huhames, again, I was not sniping you, but I do think Andrews is a tier ahead of Ingram. So I needed a tight end. Huhames then takes Cam Scatabo, one of my favorite clicks, and Ray Davis, which certainly makes sense on his team after Mixon, Harvey, Ray Davis, a nice pick who's going to have some standalone plus contingent value. And I will not ever fault anyone for taking Cam Scatabo. He's my highest owned player, as you can see by the handy dandy crawl. All right. FK Cooler says the thing with this naked Burrow gimmick is you probably need 2 rushing touchdowns from him in week 17 because if he goes off, all the stack combos beat you most of the time. Yep. Yeah, I think that's Burrow last year when he smashed week 17, he had a rushing touchdown. He had 2 rushing touchdowns the entire season. It just so happened one of them was week 17. Huhames also has Evans. Oh yeah, I think you were talking about the Mayfield stack that you had. Fantasy says super strong, rock the running backs and tight ends now. So Fantasy Dog cheering on Huhames. You could cheer me on too. No, just kidding. Lay the Evans. Just call me the Bonnie Blue of Rake. Well, there is a lot of rake in these contests, unfortunately. And it can like slowly grind you down. No, what am I doing? I want QJ. I know that's crazy. But I think I'm willing to try to make this a Bryce Young and Darnold team versus Penix. So I did take QJ there because now I've got QJ and Harris. This tells a story that something terrible happens to Ladd. I'm not rooting for that. I love Ladd McConkey. But if that happens, then this team will stand to benefit. But even if not, and hopefully that does not happen in all seriousness, I would never wish injury on anybody, especially not for a $4 Dachshund. Trey Harris and QJ, I think at least one of them is going to emerge as the wide receiver 2. I think it's going to start as QJ. He may hold the role all season. Maybe Herbert's able to support 3 receivers. I'm a little more bearish on that, but again, at pick 138, I'll make this into a little bit of a double stack here, and then maybe we'll get Penix at 151. If not, then we'll take Bryce Young. Again, maybe I actually take Bryce Young ahead of Penix anyway on this team. Hard to say exactly what I will do given the opportunity. Lutz, GM, thank you so much for coming by. Fantasy Dog, 22 likes, not bad for AM. Just finished my coffee stream. Hey, everyone, if you have not liked and subscribed, please do so, especially, the subs, and it helps keep this little fledgling stream going. So again, thank you all so much for your support. It is so much fun to do these drafts with you all in the morning. This is a tough decision. I'm almost leaning towards Penix because there's a chance that Young wraps around here because most of these people already have two quarterbacks, and I guess I'm fading Jasania. Yeah, I'll take Penix ahead of Young. No, okay. I took Penix. That was a tough decision because I think Bryce Young's rushing upside actually exists, and he was running more last season. The other thing is Carolina plays Seattle in week 17, so I do want to make sure I get at least one of the quarterbacks there, and I'm fine. I'm fine taking Penix and not having both quarterbacks there. And if I have one of the two, I would prefer Young to Darnold. But again, I'm willing to live with Darnold if he ends up being the guy. Had I taken Bryce Young, then maybe I also would have been able to pair him with Leggett. So there was a lot of moving pieces in that pick, and it doesn't help having the clock glitch because I don't know how much time I have to think about these things. Revenge will be at. Oh no. You mean Bateman is not enough of a consolation prize? Dirty P, if I don't win, I hope Naked Burrow wins for the chaos of 1 2. Oh, Baker was 8 rounds cheaper. Yeah. Last season Baker was almost free, especially compared to where Burrow goes now. Yes, yeah, and that is a very good point there. As far as the naked quarterback helping you to get there. So Huhames takes Leggett. Let's see what Amixta does. Let's see. Hopefully he doesn't take Bryce Young. If he does, he does not. So we get our guy. Bryce Young. I am very happy with how that shook out. For the audio listeners, we've got a 3-4-6-1 team with Justin Herbert, Michael Penix, and Bryce Young. Running back room of CMC, Derrick Henry, Alvin Kamara, and Tony Pollard. Wide receiver room of JSN, Ted McMillan, Chris Godwin, Darnell Mooney, Trey Harris, Quentin Johnston, and a tight end room of Mark Andrews. So if I hold to only doing 4 running backs, this will probably be a 3-4-8-3 team, but we will, I think that math adds up. I'm going to take 3 tight ends on this team because it's now late enough to where I think that makes sense. So if I take 2 more tight ends and 2 more receivers, we will do that. I'm not going to completely close the door on a 5th running back. It would just have to be somebody that lined up with the team. For example, like a Rico Dowdle. I'm not going to pass on a Rico Dowdle just because I said I was going to stop at 4 running backs. I think Dowdle makes sense with this Bryce Young stack. But, trying to tack on another receiver who doesn't fit, or excuse me, another running back who doesn't fit, I'm going to avoid doing. Thinking about the tight ends, Herbert doesn't really have one that is obvious. Penix doesn't have one we really want, and Kyle Pitts already went. Bryce Young has Jatavion Sanders. Of those late tight ends, I'm most worried that he could lose the job to like Tommy Tremble, or they have another guy who I forget. So it's going to be interesting who we take, to add to Mark Andrews there. So Rico Dowdle still on the board, although Roshan, Braylon Allen, and Miles Sanders all go off. So it's I think he's the next running back by ADP. We'll see. Huhames, he added Brenton Strange and Xavier Leggett to his team. That makes a ton of sense. He also gets Isaiah Likely. So again, just benefiting from not getting Mark Andrews lets him get Isaiah Likely 3 rounds later. I think that's a pretty big win there. Quid pro quo, any person in any spot can get you there. Yes, if you take things to their logical extreme, it is true, right? Rico Dowdle could rush for 2,000 yards and be the guy we need. But no, I'll take. I know I said don't let me take a 5th running back, and then you all let me take a 5th running back. So I don't know what happened there. But in all seriousness, I think Dowdle actually adds something to this team, and we can try to take some different receivers to round it out later. But I think he just made sense with this Carolina bet, and with with this Carolina Seattle kind of being my primary week 17 story that we're telling. Who Hames adds GJ Giddens, nice contingent bet, plays against Jacksonville, so he's got a little mini bet on that game going on there. All right. Dirty P says the sprint drafts are the toughest rooms with the least money to be win versus the largest field. I need more August drafters trickling in before the sprint streets. Yeah, the sprint rooms are like always so sharp. I like the sprint format. I think it's fun. I kind of want to max the sprint if I can, if I have the time. It's just hard to get it to fill. Fantasy Dog says Allen, Hurts, Fields, Love, and probably a couple more can be drafted naked IMO. Yeah, again, I think it just depends on the construction of the rest of your team. If you add a naked quarterback, where that makes sense. Fantasy football and Espanol. Who Ames? You're in all draft. The fingers have to be automatic. Hey, fantasy football and Espanol. Thank you so much for coming by and for the support. I've seen you out there, and again, I really appreciate you coming in. Sorry, I got distracted by my favorite click late in the draft, which is Diami Brown. But no, fantasy football and Espanol. Thank you for stopping by. I think Diami Brown is really just one of the best clicks at this part of the draft. He's I'm very, very, very in on Dynamic Brown this year, and we're gonna round this team out with 2 tight ends and get you out of here. I guess we ran into 10 o'clock, but I will shut it down as soon as we wrap it up. Dirty P says the first week of September, the sprint streets will be the place to be. I would wager or am wagering. Yeah, hopefully. Hopefully the fill rate speeds up in that one. Favorite bottom teams to pick players from Saints, Steelers, Brown, Giants. Yeah, I like the that Giants Raiders game quite a bit. I think that's kind of a sneaky game. I do worry. I mean, Steelers Browns feels a little gross, but I definitely take my share of Steelers. I definitely do take my share of and Browns. I like Njoku. I like Tillman. I like Judkins. So I take my share of Steelers. Dirty P, I don't know why I'm talking about the sprint. Oh yeah, Underdog wants to fire for promos. Yeah, in the ideal world, we will be able to get some some promos in. I'll take Darren Waller. Why not? What could go wrong? What could go wrong with adding Darren Waller share? Al Boogie says, do 4 QBs heard it's the new meta? Yeah, didn't the puppy winner have 5 QBs or 4, or the guy who got second? Someone did something weird with QBs in a contest and it worked. So, all this structure stuff could just be nonsense, and you just need to literally just pick good players, draft good players, and you're in. Dirty Pete did 4 QB yesterday. Matt Stafford QB1, 4 felt reasonable. I mean, if it fits your team, I think sometimes we can be too rigid with our structures. So I don't see a problem with doing that. Al Boogie, I did too with a 20 pick fall on Penix. It'll happen. Who Ames? I do not. I have Andrews like 10 picks before ADP and likely 10 after. Who Ames? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I think I have him like 10 picks ahead of Ingram in mine, and so I took him, and now I feel bad because I did not want to ruin your beautiful your beautiful Lamar Jackson team. Dirty P, Al Boogie, QB ADP's dynamic AF from lobby to lobby. Yes, it depends. Are people reaching for stacks, or are they not? Kelly Lapidus finally made it to your live stream. You do a great job for audio listeners. Hey, Kelly, thank you so much for stopping by. Really appreciate it. Dirty P warning you not to get. Yeah. The last thing I need is a little bit of self-confidence. Don't do that. Don't do that. But yeah, Kelly, thank you so much for coming by. I appreciate the support. I took Juwan Jennings with my last pick. I passed on Jatavion Sanders because I think I had enough bet on that Carolina game, and I also do have Kamara, so don't mind adding that. Who Hames says all good. Andrews was the best pick for your team. So Who Hames, before we get out of here, my team was a 3-5-7-3 with Justin Herbert, Michael Penix, Bryce Young, running back room of Christian McCaffrey, Derrick Henry, Alvin Kamara, Tony Pollard, and Rico Dowdle. wide receiver room of Jackson Smith and Jigba, Tet McMillan, Chris Godwin, Darnell Mooney, Trey Harris, Quentin Johnston, Diami Brown, and tight ends of Mark Andrews, Darren Waller, and Juwan Johnson. Let's quickly check what Who Hames put together, and then I will call it a day here, and everyone can head over to ship chasing if that's how they want to continue their morning. So we've got Lamar at okay, I gotta view it from the draft screen. So Who Hames, he started with Puka, Drake London, Mike Evans. So, dear God, the for the audio listeners, my screen keeps not showing me who we drafted. All right, so Who Hames, let's go back to your team. Who Hames with a 2-6-7-3 with Lamar Jackson, Baker Mayfield, so a 2 QB team. Joe Mixon, RJ Harvey, Cam Scatterbo, Ray Davis, DJ Giddens, and Taj Brooks. Love the Taj Brooks click there late. Puka Nacua, Drake London, Mike Evans, Egmeka Egbuka, Rashad Bateman, Xavier Legette, and Savion Williams. I like the Savion click as your nice Baltimore bringback. I think he's fun. Isaiah Likely, Brenton Strange, and Cade Otton. Hey, everyone, Fantasy Dog, thank you for that. Who Hames, next to the draft board, there is a drop down. Yeah, when somebody makes their next click, it seems to disappear. But everybody, thank you so much for coming by. I really appreciate your support. Quid pro quo. Thank you so much, everyone. I will see you tomorrow. And again, thanks for drafting with me. Take care, everyone.